I'll get us started right away here. Let me pull out my recording program. Pleasure to meet you virtually.
Nice to meet y'all virtually. Thank you for having me.
No problem. All right, here we go. Hi, welcome to another episode of the Blackout Tips Podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
And we're live on a Wednesday. This is a great day to be part of the live chat room because we actually have a guest.
Mm-hmm.
We have some company, everybody. You probably see it in the show title or the show description. Today, we're joined by a senior editor at Eater, journalist whose work you may have seen in the New York Times, Bon Apetit, and Kitchen, and host of the One Recipe podcast, Jesse Sparks. What's going on?
Not too much. Thank y'all for having me. It's good to be here.
Oh man, it's cool to have you on. You know, one of my favorite things is food.
Yes. We have a whole spin-off show that's nothing but food. When Roger told me you was going to be a guest, I was like, I got all of the questions.
See, y'all already my people. We're here. We're in it. Let's get right into it.
Well, you know, the first thing I want to ask is, what was your path to get into like food as like a topic for like journalism? Because I know you went to Northwest and you majored in journalism, but I feel like food is a very specific part of like a subject to be about.
Oh yeah. So it was actually wild because like for a long time I didn't even seriously consider it as like an option. I was always like, okay, I gotta, make sure that I can just get through school, get a job and pay my bills, and like that is it. We'll worry about the specifics after the bills are paid. And it was just like I had an internship where another colleague of mine was just saying, hey, like I see that you are really passionate about this. I see that you have, this really deep desire to just learn about it. So why not just dive in, work at Eater for a little bit, just give it a shot. Don't say no before you even try it yet. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should actually consider that. Like, okay, was not signing up for a sermon, but
that's a big thing for me too, is sometimes I tell myself no before I even try something. And it is a big hurdle mentally to get over, but it's been really rewarding to be like, nah, why not me? Why can't I try that?
Yes. Why don't I deserve? And that's sometimes it's very difficult to kind of get over that, because sometimes you feel like it's like you don't belong there, or you feel like you're intruding and you shrink yourself, make yourself small in spaces when sometimes you're actually the most educated person in the room. But it's just the fact that a lot of these people got these positions and they don't even know what the hell they talking about. They just walked in bold and strong and was like, y'all gonna get these words. And you're like, you don't know what you're talking about, sir. But you talking with authority, so everybody respects it. Why can't I?
Yeah, listen, y'all about to have me shouting. Because that's real. It's that, like I feel like so often we're told that we shouldn't, stand in the fact that we like are confident in what we know. We have the experience, we have the knowledge, even if it's not necessarily like in the ways that people expect it to be. Like even if it's not a degree, or even if it's not like a years in a specific institution that may not, reflect the communities that we come from. Right. But it's still just like, well, why wouldn't I just give myself the benefit of the doubt? If we're so quick to give everyone else a shot, why wouldn't we give ourselves that too?
And was it difficult as far as like securing an internship at Eater? Like, is that like a process too, or is it just like any other thing, you apply to it, you get accepted or you don't?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mixture of both. Like throughout my whole career, and I've really do my best to try to say this every time. Like my career is not just a reflection of me. It is a reflection of every person that has been a mentor, who has cared, who has reached out, who has encouraged me. Like this is a community affair. So this is not just me. Like people had to make sacrifices so I could do what I'm doing now. And that's all part of it. So yeah, it was like the simple, apply, cross your fingers, hope, get the email, and then like be thrilled about it. But it was also a mixture of just like, okay, well, what are the things I have to do to get there, right? Like, what are the what are the things that, you know, other people have been trying to tell me all along that now I actually have to internalize and I actually have to believe about myself before I even walk in that door. And I'm sure y'all can relate.
Absolutely.
That's easy. And a lot of times that's easier said than done, because like I know, and I'm guilty of this too, but anybody that's been around me know that I am a cheerleader. Like cheerleading is in my spirit. I can't explain that to people, but I am the person where I am your number one cheerleader. Like no matter what you doing, if you look over there and see me, my pom-poms will be up in the air and I'm going to say, go baby, go get it, go get that bag, go get that money, go get the education. Like, go, like that's me. But sometimes it's hard when it's you though. I don't know if that makes sense, but when you almost have to, you almost reevaluate. And sometimes you have to be like, you know what? The things I'm telling everybody else, I have to apply to myself. You know, and get over the fear and get over the anxiety and all those things that kind of come up, you know. And so, like, even with me and Roger in the podcast, now that stuff, Roger will tell you, I am the biggest cheerleader, you know. And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, sure, let's do it. Like, Roger will tell you, I'm the first one to jump first feet in. Don't know what's happening. Don't know what's going on. Don't know how to fix it. Knowing I can't swim. I'm like, pool, and I'm like, well, something got to happen.
And it always works out.
What was interesting is when when I was in high school, I was in this program called Inroads, and it takes like academically talented minority youth. I can't believe I still remember that slogan after all these years, but it takes these gifted Black kids, right? And they take us and they train us. They make, you know, like help us with school, make all that type of stuff. And they place you in like these fast track programs with companies, right? And so I'm an intern, and in 1995, 94 money, this is, you know, that long ago, everyone. In terms of that money, I was making like big money, you know what I'm saying? Like, so like minimum wage at that time was like $4.35 in North Carolina. And I was making like $14, $15 at 16, right? Just disposable income, by the way. Just horrible decisions that were made with that money, because you ain't got no real bills.
Listen, what are you paying for?
Right, I get some more later. I'm not even like holding it back for college when I'm gonna be broke eating ramen noodles. I'm like, nah, I don't need it, I'll figure it out. So but I just remember when I got that job and when I was working there, feeling like, what, like this pressure, like, what am I gonna do here? I don't like, am I a fraud? Am I gonna be exposed? And then you get there and you're kind of like, oh, no one really has it figured out. Everyone's kind of just learning to do their job. Even the like adults who like had jobs for years, like every day some new thing was happening that they needed to learn. There were people looking at me like, Rod, you might not know how to balance this account, but you know how to run a fax machine. Can you teach me how to run a fax machine, and I'll teach you how to balance an account? You know how to do
that's the thing. It's give and take. It's give and take.
Yes. So shout out to those people and those mentors. Is cooking like a thing? First of all, do you cook like in addition to just covering it?
Yeah, I do. Okay.
Because I mean, it could be like sports, right? Like, you know, I always forget about that because cooking is one of those things we assume everyone does, and if you cover it, we just like, oh, you must just be a beast in the kitchen.
Not exactly.
But technically, you don't have to play in the NFL to understand like how hard football is, right? So, my thing would be like, have you always cooked, like even since you were a kid, and is it like one of your passions, or is it just kind of something you cover for your work?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I think it's both. So growing up, always cooking, was always in the kitchen with my mom, with the aunties, with whoever was making the meals that day, you know. So it was always something that was just present. So I never really thought of it as work, because it was always like, oh, well, this is what I love doing. Like, this is the type of like connecting to the people that I have a relationship with, that I love. Like when my friends were struggling and we were in school and we didn't have like but $15, like we were saying, okay, well, like you come over, you bring this, and we'll have a little potluck and we'll make it work, you know. So in that way, it was just like, well, obviously, Jesse, why would you not pursue this thing that you love, that you're always doing anyways? But then also at the same time,
it's actually really dope, because like because everyone has to eat, a lot of us have to cook, but to take it that extra step and be like, yo, I want to cover this as my passion, you know, like that's actually really dope, because I think a lot of people may have had that inclination and went, nah, I'll never be whatever, imposter syndrome kicks in or whatever. But to like go out there and be like, nah, man, I want to talk about this. I want to learn about it. I want to talk to the people who do it. Like I admire that so much that you did that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But I can't take too much credit now. I'm not God's gift to cooking or anything like that. But it's, if anything, I think it's better that way, because it's just like, okay,
that's what I'm
like,
saying. Yeah.
What are people at home actually cooking? What are they actually going to do? Like, some of these recipes have 40, 50 ingredients that you will have to go out and buy all of them, and you're going to use them maybe 3 times, and you don't always know.
Right. They're very intimidating. You know, it'd be things on there. You'd be like, and how do you pronounce this? And where is this at? Oh, I got to go to the specialty shop for this. Like once you start really getting down to that, and I know for a lot of people that kind of scares them away from cooking. But once if you for intro cooking, it's basic stuff. But
it can be intimidating.
Yes,
it can be intimidating. But you know, one of the things. So one of the ways I've learned to cook a lot better over the last few years, like now I cook probably 4 or 5 times a week, as opposed to I used to just cook like once every blue moon. Like it had to be Thanksgiving. I guess I'll make some ribs. You know? But now I cook like almost every day. And one of the things that helped was subscription boxes. You know, like those things really, and it demystified a lot of stuff for me that I didn't know. Like the biggest one for me was Zest. I grew up in the house. I didn't know what Zest was. Like Zest,
what we zesting?
I don't know if we had a zester or not. I don't know. But I learned how to zest a lemon and a lime.
Zest in your life, you be like, oh my gosh, it takes another level. Like you don't realize, and you be like, oh, all y'all doing is scraping the little orange and little green on the back, and all of a sudden I get a burst of flavor.
Karen, can you describe what zesting is for people that don't know?
Zesting is like normally it's with limes or lemons, and they have like a grater. You know how you grate cheese, and so it's like a smaller version of that, specifically made for lime and lemon. And so you take it and you actually rub it across your lime or your lemon, and you don't want to get to the white part, because the white part you're actually losing your flavor. The zest is sweet. Once you get to the white part, you get it's tart and it's nasty and it's not as good. So you want to be sure that when you're grating it, it's either all yellow or all green whenever you're grating.
And then you take that and these shavings from this, like I guess the rind of the orange or whatever, you can put that in rice. You can put that in like salsa. You can put that
green beans.
It will set it off. It will literally change your life. It's so simple. But but if you would have told me, I remember the first time I read, they were like, "That's your orange." I was like, so anybody want to tell me what that means? Like, and I went to YouTube, boom. Now I'm like, I'm zesting everything. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Oh, sorry. You got it.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you something. I know this might sound funny, but I didn't know. A Dutch oven. I remember the first time I was talking about Dutch oven, honey. I was like, I don't got no Dutch oven. I was looking at my oven. Well, my oven ain't Dutch. What is we talking about here? What the hell is a Dutch oven? I didn't realize it is a type of pan. Why do you call it an oven?
Yeah, we got one. We got it underneath the sink.
Yeah, but see stuff like that. When you watching it, be like, and let me tell you how I found out what a Dutch oven was, watching Food Network. Because some of the chefs be like, yes, I'm gonna use my Dutch oven, and they will pull out this pot, and I was like, bitch, I got one of them at my house. What is this? I was like, that's what it is. But if you don't know.
Right. Yeah, and like, watching people pull out a Dutch oven for the first time, if you don't use one regularly, it looks like people are deadlifting. Like it's just like,
yes.
Are y'all picking up babies? Are you picking up children? Like, what is happening here? Like, are you just
really heavy?
Oh,
and the thing is, the technology has gotten better. That and cast iron. You could kill a man with a cast iron pan. You mess around and drop that or hit something the wrong way, you was out for a few days.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, and what's funny is you can't like technology has improved, but you still can't out technology some of these like a good cast iron. You can't out tech it. It's nothing like it. you know, but yeah, it can be intimidating. I remember the first time I heard, don't clean your cast iron, like don't just throw that in the dishwasher. Like grandmama gonna choke everybody in the house. You know, I had to learn.
You're raising my blood pressure already. I'm getting stressed just remembering.
I know somebody listened and done that and started a fight with their grandma, their aunt, their cousin. They came in there, but what you did? And then you got to go through the whole process to get it the color right.
Like, are you even alive to tell the tale? Like, if you are, say something in the chat.
Yeah, because people don't know. They just think you just wash everything. Everything go in the dishwasher. No, it does not.
No, please no.
But yeah, it seems there's so many things that just seem intimidating, and it's like it's a lot of times it's very simple, or it's like it's a French word for something that's simple. You know?
Yeah.
Where you're like. Yeah, like well, I got a julienne these things. It's like, that just means something different, dog. Look it up.
That's a special way to talk. And one thing that I've learned about food over the years, sweetie, is that YouTube. See, years ago you didn't have YouTube, so you had to depend on your mom and them. But my mom and them, she didn't have the patience, so she constantly kicked me out the kitchen. So I learned how to cook as an adult. I learned how to wash clothes. I learned how to do a lot of things as an adult when I got to college. A lot of people are like, why? Because my mama, her patience was zero, and I'd rather her kick me out than to be hollering at me the whole time. Because then we all gonna have attitudes up in there. So just go ahead and put me out and let me be a dummy until I figure it out on my own.
All right, like let me enjoy my life. You know, sorry that I asked. I apologize. Yeah, I will get out of the way.
Yes, and then you complain about how you ain't got no help. Well, I was asking you, you want me to help? What you complaining for? That would be my biggest thing. And black women are the number one culprits of that. Don't want nobody to help you, but then be complaining. Well, you put everybody out.
I feel like a lot of people are gonna be triggered by this conversation we having right now.
There's a support group. This is a support group for kids of.
Is there pressure to be a good cook? Like as you're covering this stuff, as you're talking to people and interviewing people, do you feel like an internal pressure to like maybe try these recipes or try the things they do, or is it just like, no, I'm good at eating these foods. That's what I'm about.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely a pressure to, to perform, to be this perfect, ideal cook, to do everything right all the time, 24/7. And like, that's part of why I got burnt out a little bit after a few years of like really trying to grind at the beginning and trying to make every single recipe or everything that, crossed my desk. But instead, I just had to get to a point of being like, what is it that brings me joy? What am I excited about? What actually fills me up here? And I love experimenting. I love trying new things, but also it defeats the purpose if I'm not enjoying what I'm doing.
Right.
If I've lost the whole reason I got into this in the first place, because I want to share food with the people that I love. Why would I, turn it into this chore that makes me feel worse about myself, when it's just like, no, I may not always have the time or the money or like the energy to be cooking all these elaborate meals every meal of the day.
What was that like? What was that feeling of burnout like, and how long, before you really hit that wall, and how'd you get over that?
Yeah, I think it was kind of like, this is gonna sound very kind of spoiled, which it is. I recognize that, but it's just like,
absolutely. We get it. Listen, everybody on this podcast, y'all got privileges in different intersections. It's totally fine.
Absolutely,
you're not judging. Go ahead, break it down.
No, you're all good. But I just feel like people in food media forget that having the option to cook this many recipes or all as extensively as we normally do, like that's a privilege, and we got to own that.
Ain't it though?
So like when I got burnt out, I was like, you know what, it wasn't just because of the cooking itself, it was more because of the conversations about it. It was like, well, y'all have to remember, not everyone always shops at Whole Foods. Not everyone is going out of their way to just burn cash or time, which is like, it's not necessarily burning it if you're loving it, but if the love is there, then it's okay to just say, you know what, I'm throwing pasta, water, and salt into a pot. I'm pulling out,
whatever I got in here,
and we're doing it. I'm gonna shred some leftover chicken, and that'll be that. That'll be dinner. We'll make it work. Or chop up some sausage and call it good. But
Taco Tuesday, you know what I mean? Everybody got the ingredients, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Is that is there. And a lot of people like home cooks, and a lot of chefs that cater towards home cooks are some of the most popular. And people wonder why, because the average person, which is most of your viewers, are going to be like, look, what can I do for $10 or less? What can I do for $20 or less? What can I get on sale for 2 for $5? Like, I don't have time to be going in here with all these kids hollering and screaming, running around the grocery store, asking them what kind of cheese is this, and do you know how to pronounce this in French? Make it simple, people.
Like, and that's the thing, because as y'all were saying before, so often people know how to cook, or like they know by doing, they know intuitively, but sometimes they just need someone to say, hey, this is all it is. Just, you know, scrape your citrus. That's what Zesting is. Like
you're gonna set off this rice. I promise you, all you need is a lime and a little bit of butter. We about to change y'all rice for life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all here already changing lives.
Yeah.
How many of us have seen family members, you know, like make a pound cake and then scrape the lemons in the process? But like, how many of us never actually put it together that's what zesting is formally called?
Never know. And they might not even have known that's what it was called.
You talking to one.
You exactly. And like, that's the thing. Like, we know so much because we have all this knowledge, but we don't give ourselves the credit.
No, we don't. You know, and I'm surprised they don't have, like, I don't know if you follow like a lot of the workout regimens on like TikTok and stuff like that. Cooking, they'll have 2 versions. When they talking to you, they go, okay, for the advanced people, we can do this. If you want to modify it, you know, it's instead of, you know, doing the cage-free chickens, you know, you can go on down there and get your little cheaper chickens. You know, give people an option.
It is interesting because like the other day I saw a recipe on YouTube that I want to do. Instead of bacon, lettuce, tomato, BLT, it was a PLT because it was pork belly, lettuce, and tomato. And I was like, I want to make that. You know what I mean?
That sounds delicious.
Talking my language, right? Then I realized I don't know where to get pork belly. Like I've been living in the city my whole life. I'm sure it's possible, but I just didn't know where to get it. So then someone sent me a link to a website where you can get these meats and they can mail them to you. It's like exotic kind of meats. I forget the name. It had like a fancy name, like Del Tagon or something. And so they sent me this link, and I got the pork belly, but then it was like, if you want free shipping, you need to spend like a little more money. So I was like, all right, I'll find something else. And so I got duck breast because I never have made duck before. And so I got both and got them shipped here and all this stuff. And it was expensive. And I cooked the duck and it was,
that duck was absolutely delicious.
Oh my God.
We got a meat monitor. And the thing is, once you put like this, I know I am not my ancestors. I'm not even gonna lie. When it comes to the cooking, I'm not them. So for me, I like technology. So we invest in like meat thermometers and air fryers and like all this stuff to kind of make the process easier. No, I don't know when I touch this meat, I don't know if it's internally 165 degrees, but you know what? This thermometer gonna tell me it's 165 degrees.
Yeah. So we got like an app with like a thermometer it's like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, where you put the thermometer in and you can set it to be like, tell me when it's this many degrees. And so that's how I cooked the duck, because everyone kept telling me like, if you cook this 2 minutes too long, it's trash. Like it's very finicky. It gotta be just right, or you gonna ruin your duck. And I spent way too much money on this duck to be messing around. So I made the duck. It was delicious. It was really good. But it's also that thing where like and much as I loved it, I've had other meals where I spent $10 and was just as like, okay, that was hitting, you know what I mean? So like there is this idea of if you spend a lot, that's what makes the meal good.
No,
but as good as that duck was, I made a BLT that was hitting. I hope the pork belly hitting too, but I done made several BLTs that I was quite proud of myself.
Come on, the thing about it is that people do. I think about what you said. People think the more money you spend, the better it tastes. Now, there are some things that you spend money on, you do get better quality. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But sometimes we've been to expensive places where me and Roger looking at you like, you want to go to McDonald's after this? Because this food was fucking terrible. You be like, who cooked this? It was seasoning. You be like, who is your head chef? Can I speak to the chef, please?
100%. And you're just like, of course, you want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. You want to be nice and everything, but it's also just like, just because you're charging me $200 for a meal does not mean that it's a good meal. Like, like, and it's okay for us to say that. It's okay for us to have a conversation about saying, like, I get the importance of ingredients. I get the importance of quality, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the end result, not the process, you know?
And there's a gift, there's a gift and a type of, there's craft to taking ingredients that aren't necessarily high end and making them taste like high end, you know? So that's part of it too. The other thing I think of too, you brought this up when you talked about getting in the kitchen with your mom and the people cooking. There's cooking for efficiency, which I feel like it gets regulated and genderized to women, right? It's all like, mama get in the kitchen and cook everybody some food, you know, that kind of thing.
That's why you get the same meals 4 times out the month, because I got things to do. You got school in the morning, we got projects. Ain't nobody got time to be trying to be creative.
Right.
You got projects you gotta tell your mom at 7 o'clock in the morning the day it's due, that you're just like, oh, by the way, I need poster board. Can we go to CVS? No.
Yeah. Like, we all know the national black anthem of spaghetti is in the fridge, right? We all have had that.
24/7.
Like,
it stretches.
Listen, because cooking for efficiency is different. And I think what is interesting is once I became an adult, I had so much more appreciation. Like, as a kid, man, this is such a terrible story. I'll tell it anyway because I want people
to get into it.
Right. But my mom would make this chicken and mushroom gravy with rice. And it was chicken thighs normally. And then it was the mushroom gravy over rice. And sometimes she make it a casserole, sometimes not, right? And me and my brother took to calling it. We called it slavery chicken. Because we would say this is what the slaves ate. And my mom, of course, got very offended. It was because it was a terrible thing to say.
Yes, it was.
And we used to like roll our eyes.
No wrong.
It was, listen, I'm telling you because I'm wrong. Hey, this is my testimony, okay, everybody?
This is my song.
And so
you gotta sing it. You gotta sing it now. No, you committed. You gotta sing it.
I remember shading my mom, and me and my brother would just be like, oh, slavery chicken again, and it's like a running joke. And literally, I remember when I went to college, I was like away the first week. You're eating cafeteria food, and I was like, I miss that slavery chicken. So
anything for it.
Like, we came back. It was so funny. We came back for fall break, right? So that's like my first extended time away from my mom and my parents. And so that's what, like 2-3 months, and then you come fall break. And my mom was like, what do you want me to cook? You know, I'll cook anything. I was like, I want that slavery chicken. Can you just cook that shit? Because I miss this so much. And it's so interesting because now that I cook, occasionally I'll go in the kitchen. And it's because I'm not cooking for efficiency. It's just me and Karen, and we don't have kids, and we don't have to worry about cooking like 5 meals in a day.
Right.
So I've made like high-end bougie slavery chicken. Like, it's like I just went and got the good mushrooms, and
we got the shiitakes.
Yeah, the jasmine rice or whatever.
Yeah.
And, bring it on out. Bring it on.
The wild rice. We just upgraded it just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of food is like that. When you go to like expensive places and you think of it, I mean, and a lot of chefs will even say like, this meal is inspired by my upbringing, and that's why I make this now. It's just different ingredients possibly, but it'd be hidden because it got that love for the slavery chicken. And I feel like the title of this episode will not be slavery chicken.
I It did not even click for me until now. I was just like, oh no.
I realized I was saying it so much. I was like, this is let's move. Let's change it to
we scratching that.
Let's change the topics. At any rate,
they're gonna be like, what did you talk to them about on the episode? Why is it called slavery?
Yeah, they're gonna be like,
am I allowed to listen to this?
But food. My point is, food has stories, and I feel like a lot of what Jesse does is tell those stories. That was a roundabout way to get to, that's what you do. I've been listening to your podcast, The One Recipe. Can you describe to people what the basis, like the premise of the podcast is, real quick?
Yeah, definitely. It's exactly what we've been talking about. It's all about like one recipe that a chef or a great cook or a cookbook author just loves and relies on, like the ones that they actually use in day-to-day life, not the ones that are, the stylized Instagram, TikTok videos and photos, So it's about making cooking accessible and real while still saying like, yeah, you can have that ambitious like project recipe, or you can have that recipe that you're just like, at the end of the day, I'm exhausted and this is what gets me through.
Yeah, so, I want to be a person that writes a cookbook recipe or something so I can be a guest on the show. And then I want my food to be Hot Pockets. I want to just like completely throw everybody. Like I'm gonna say it real fancy, like Hot Pocket, and then everybody's gonna be like, yeah, he don't Hot Pocket. What's that? Like my secret is I like to put it in there for $2.45 instead of $2.30, and then
make your own crust and everything.
And then them 15 seconds change a lot. Y'all will be surprised.
You know what's funny? I was thinking about this today. I am one of the most, and I'm not saying it's a humble brag, it's just the truth. I am one of the most patient people that you will ever meet.
Oh yeah, you're very patient.
Right? Like that's one of the reasons I think I'm good at cooking is because I just don't rush it. I'm like, if the rice says it's gonna be 25 minutes, it's gonna be 25 minutes. I'm sorry, everybody. And if it tells me to sit it for 15 minutes after that, then it's gonna have to sit for the 15 minutes because I want the rice to be right. And I need to start cooking 40 minutes earlier then. Fine. But the one place where I am not patient at all is when that Hot Pocket comes out the microwave. Why can I never wait the 2-3 minutes of what? It's like, let it cool 1 minute. And I'm like, F that. I'm eating Hot Pockets and burning the roof of my mouth immediately every time.
It's like, listen, I may have to wait an additional minute, but I've already been waiting since I started cooking. I've been waiting since I started thinking about it. Okay, right. I have been thinking about this Hot Pocket all day. So really, this Hot Pocket took 8 hours to make, not just 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
It's got to be some type of equation. There has to be a cure for this. Like,
you ain't the only one.
Maybe there's a shortcut. Like I could put it in the fridge for 15 seconds.
To cool it down.
I don't know. I need a shortcut because I'm definitely burning my mouth. And it's such a stupid, short-sighted decision because then everything I eat tastes like burnt mouth. After that. It's just so bad.
What's your one recipe?
Ooh, so mine is a recipe for like these brown butter chocolate chips. So basically, like I love bacon. I love sweets. Always had a sweet tooth. So I try to make it a habit of always having something for people to snack on in the house. So one of the easiest things to do is just always have cookie dough in the freezer because at most it's like maybe 15-20 minutes. You got to preheat the oven, then just toss them in and you're good to go. And it makes the house smell great.
Yes.
Come on through.
It's just nice to be able to have something that you can share regardless of the occasion or what's happening.
What's the worst thing you have ever eaten? Because when you're doing all this food, everything ain't good. So.
But before you answer that, I just want to throw in real quick as an aside, chocolate chip cookie incense is the devil. I've had that. It's the damn devil because all it do is make you want chocolate chip cookies. But go ahead.
See, already. See, now I can't even think anymore. Now I'm just thinking about chocolate chip cookies. I was like, what is the question?
It make you walk in the house and you be like, damn, I want some chocolate chip cookies. That's all it make you think. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought that shit. It was a mistake. But Karen, I'm so sorry to derail. What was your question again? I'm so sorry.
That is the Lord's toughest battle, and I am not his strongest soldier.
Not at all.
No,
Not at all.
I'm weak. It's okay.
What is what is the worst thing you ever eaten? Because like I said, with you cooking and you trying all these food, everything ain't good. You know, and I know everybody's palate is different, but you know, you personally,
and we understand if you can't name names or whatever, but just
no, you don't got to name names. You just say this is the food, whatever. This
and obviously, you don't have to pick Arby's. We understand that's how that goes, so don't worry about that.
Good. All good. You know, there was one time. So my family has moved around a lot, just with my dad's job, that kind of stuff, and we lived in the Midwest for a little bit. So like, as part of our like getting established routine, we would, you know, go to church potlucks, do stuff like that. There was one time I had one of the worst casseroles of my life. I don't know who made it, but I would love to know so I can cuss them out personally.
That's why we ask. We be like, who made this?
And now generations of who made the potato salad make a sense to everybody that didn't understand before.
No, because see, I was just like, why is it? So it was like creamy, but also burnt, but also crunchy.
Yeah.
And also undercooked. It was like they put the minute rice in. So the rice was like both like overcooked and still like parts of it were just like the parts in the center were still just completely uncooked. And I was like, I don't know what's happening, but
you know, and the question who made whatever is such a veiled threat that it is an actual TikTok trend where people go, who made this in restaurants? And you can see the fear behind the counter. Everybody's like, who? And finally someone will have to be normally the person that can't avoid it. It's like a chef in a chef hat. It's like, I made it. And they're like, because this is great. And it's like, that's the flip, because it never means that.
No, it does not.
It's so shocking.
No. And in Black households, it gets so serious now. It was years ago. One of my aunts, I love her, but she can't cook, and everybody know she can't cook. Like it is like, no, we have functions at her house, but everybody bring the food to her house. She's not allowed to cook anything. Honey, she made what was it? It was blackberry pie. She makes blackberry pie, and I don't know what she called herself doing. A blackberry pie. Because, you know, black people in blackberry pie. It's some black people that love blackberry pie. I know you do out there. Don't write in. I understand, y'all. I'm telling you right now, the one person that love blackberry pie, we don't need a synopsis about you. But overall, y'all know when y'all go to functions, nobody is asking for no blackberry pie. So I just want to put that up front, because I know we're gonna get the one.
I got you.
And so she didn't put enough sugar in it, because blackberries are tart on their own. And so nobody knew this. And what was hilarious was everybody was like, because we were kids. So we were looking like, who did this? We were kids. And me and my cousin looked at each other. He was like, you try. Everybody was like, So my cousin bit into it in his face. I was like, well, I'm not trying it then. And you know what? I got real black people. One of my one of her sisters went off. Come on. Why you make this, girl? You know you can't cook. You ain't putting up sugar. So then it was like a whole ordeal. Because her sister went off. You got these kids trying but don't nobody want that.
And it's always the sibling too. It's all everyone else. It's like there will be like the first 4 or 5 people who try it are all gonna be like, oh, it's interesting. Yeah, it's new. It's different. But that 6th person is the one who's always just gonna be like, no, this is trash.
I'll be trying to be polite and like, because when food is nasty, it's just nasty. There's really no in between. And just I try to be polite, but it always ends up sounding like I'm trying to figure out where you went wrong. Like it's like, so what was wrong in life? So what made you want to bake a pie? What was that like? And where you get this recipe from? Okay,
so what was your motive?
Yes. What was your motivation? Yes.
Where were you on the night?
How were you inspired?
Where were you at on the night of the 15th when you?
Right. I noticed you have some red spatter what was that about? What's that? Like, it makes it like sound like an interrogation. It's just
yes. So
I got a quick question. Where do you get off? Just where do you get the nerve?
Thought for the class. How dare you?
Yes. And so, people wonder why, some Black people, they either don't do potlucks with the company or either they'll act.
Well, we did a whole episode. I can't remember the number of the episode, but it was just about the company office potluck. And just, I think a lot of people do not understand how treacherous it is to just have people cook that we don't know anything about them or their cooking.
Yeah, for us, it's traumatizing. We were like,
I remember for years at jobs, it would be the most awkward day because they would do the potluck and they try to make it count for your lunch, which
never.
Nice try.
Nope. I wouldn't participate.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Where you going?" Like, "On my lunch." You're not nope.
Right.
They be like, "But you gave $5." Yes, I put $5 in. And I'm going on to lunch. I'm putting the $5 in, and so you won't complain.
And for the record, my $5 is a shut the hell up $5. It's not a $5 to support what y'all doing. It's $5. Leave me alone. Y'all go do that thing, because if I'm not bringing a dish, that means I really don't want to participate.
Right.
But I remember just like, at least in my office, I can't speak for every office, and this is why diversity matters, everybody. Okay. At my office, I just followed the lead of the Black women that work there, because they will vet the meals. You know what I mean? Like it's like a tour guide to the meals where they be like, you can see them like literally, like if you know anything about baseball, how like a pitcher and a catcher, like they throw signs and then the catcher like shakes his head, like, don't throw this pitch, right? Or whatever. Or the pitcher shakes his head. There's like a communication non-verbally. That is what the Black women were doing during the potluck. Because you be like, oh, I'm gonna get some of this casserole, and they'd be like, that's not the 3 down. Don't do that. I'm like, I'm gonna get some of these greens. These greens are okay. The greens are fine.
Yep.
Or either you do like me, you get a little bit of everything. What I used to do is get a little bit of everything, not to hurt people's feelings, and then get to my desk and just throw everything in the trash can.
Oh yeah. Well, see, so if it's good and I know people that made it, I don't mind. Because like sometimes it really, listen, there were a few people I was looking forward to the potluck.
Correct.
Like, they was like, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in my macaroni and cheese. I'm like, oh, you okay? What time are you getting here? You know what I'm saying? But there was like also like the cat lady, and I was like, don't want to try your casserole.
Or the dogs up on the counter. You be like, I don't want that either, man.
Yeah, nah. It's just like, there's no shame in trying a new recipe or trying something new and having it not work out the first time. That's totally okay.
But you need to.
But also, like, don't take that to the take that to the potluck. Don't take that to
don't be bringing no weird stuff, baby. Don't nobody want your raccoon. Who eats raccoon? Why did you bring this to the potluck?
It's just like think about the audience. Who is the audience? What are you trying to do? And
I worked with a dude that hunted, and he brought venison chili in once. It was deer chili, and I didn't complain because one, he was definitely the dude that would shoot up the job. Like he had them vibes.
Sir, there are children here.
To be real tight. Okay,
this is a family. It's a family establishment.
I'm trying to put him in the circle of trust. I'm gonna need that phone call from the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? Just in case. So the second reason I tried it though is because it was exotic enough for me to be like, I don't know, is that good? And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, it was delicious. It was so damn good.
Okay.
He put his hoof in that chili. Okay,
listen,
it was so good. Oh. I call him today if I still had his number, but I don't want him to catch no flashbacks. You know what I mean?
All good. But like stuff like that. It's like, it's so nice when something that you're not expecting to be really, really great really turns out well. I feel like a lot of people think that we're constantly going in hoping that everything's bad, when it's just like, no, we're open to trying new things. We just need to know that there's like an established relationship here I need to know I can trust you.
Exactly.
Anything
Absolutely. Is it tough when how much of your job was trying food? Like, I know you talk about food, but how much of your job has been like going to eat somebody's food?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely an important part of a lot of what I do, just because it's about, making sure that I'm keeping up with what's actually out there. Like, what are people actually cooking? What are people actually making? So I think, especially when I was at Bon Apetit, and even with the work that I'm doing now for Eater and with the podcast, it's a lot of like saying, okay, are people actually going to make this? Is this actually worth saying, like, hey, I put my name on this, I trust this, like, this is something I actually recommend, Right. So it matters a lot, but I think a lot of people forget that, it is about trust. You are, managing this relationship with these people who were really just saying, like, I just need something different, and that's okay to say.
And how about the pandemic? How's it affected, the industry for you, and your job specifically, but just the industry as a whole as well?
Yeah. So I was really lucky, just because Eater has a network of like incredibly talented journalists and reporters who are out hitting the streets every day, talking to people, making sure that they're staying up to be on all the news. So a lot of what we were doing was just saying, okay, well, we see all these different ways that restaurants are getting creative with how they're adapting to the pandemic. Okay, so their dining rooms are closed, so maybe they're doing pop-ups and they're cooking in the park, or maybe they're letting people come and pick up meals, or maybe they're doing fundraisers for their staffs who were really depending on those paychecks, right? Like, it was really just fun to see so much innovation and imagination kind of come out of something that was really devastating,
Do you think the pandemic will actually change the food industry forever? Like, some of these things they implemented, do you think they're going to stay? I know a lot of the parking spaces that were designated for delivery, a lot of those are staying. How you park and you dial a number. For some places that got created because of the pandemic, and it kind of stayed. Right. Are there some other trends that you see happening that you like, oh, these things are going to stay because of the pandemic?
Oh yeah, like, I think already, the pandemic's impact on the industry is irreversible. Like, I feel like so many people who didn't already have to-go cocktails in their states now have access to restaurants and bars that are doing to-go cocktails. Like, I think that's one of those things that people only associate with like certain parts of the country. Right. But now they're just like, oh wait, we can do this all the time, right? Yeah. Also, I think, the public is so much more aware of just all that restaurant workers are really doing just to get that dish in front of you. Like, I think for a long time there was a lot of barriers to really recognizing how much goes in to just getting that plate onto that table, right?
That mystery.
Yeah, they're saying the people that go out to eat tip more now. Like, less people go out, but they tip higher. And I think a lot of that's because, especially with so much of the pandemic, food service people being on the front line, I think there has to be a level of appreciation. If you didn't have it already, then you need to have it now, because like, they literally were risking their lives even before there were vaccines. There were people that still had to go do that job, and they're wearing a mask, and everyone around them isn't. And a lot of the people that we lost in the pandemic were frontline workers and stuff like that. Another thing that changed in the pandemic, fancy places that do to go and takeout now, like,
who never had it on their menu, wasn't even an option.
I looked on DoorDash and there was like Palm Restaurant and Sullivan's and stuff like these places where you need to wear like a suit and tie just to walk in the door. They're like, get this $60 steak delivered to your house, because it really just brought a lot of these companies to either to their feet or to the forefront of the game and said, hey, you got to get out here and make this money how you can.
Have you seen restaurants, the quality of the food change? Because we're talking about frontline workers, and this is my educated guess. Some of the people that passed were the people that actually knew the recipes, and once they passed, other people might have known it and it might be written down somewhere, but they might have tweaked it just a certain way and didn't share it with people. So when they pass, when people go, I've heard people say these restaurants aren't the same anymore. And I know that has to do with these people that passed, but is there any restaurants you was like, well, the quality has went down or maybe the quality has went up because of the pandemic?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, there's not just one reason for all that, but I think it's definitely a factor in it, you know? Like, I think during the pandemic, we got so aware of just the fact that, like, all these legends, all these icons, all these people, both in our families and in the restaurant industry, that we just assume we're always going to be around forever, weren't going to be, you know? So for the first time, you had people saying, oh, wait, I actually really need to make sure we're writing down, you know, these recipes. We need to make sure that we're honoring, you know, these icons and not waiting for some perfect moment to do so. Because, you know, no one wants to think about it, but like, they're not going to be here forever. At the same time, you see all these restaurants that are, you know, juggling, having to grieve the loss of like these members of their community that were so important and so crucial to what that restaurant was, but also having to deal with the fact that like they literally can't even get the same ingredients and supplies like they used to be able to. Like
shortage.
There's shortages in everything. Everything is so much more expensive. You know, if you think that consumers are really going through it with how hard it's been to get so many supplies and ingredients, which we have been, don't get me wrong. Right. It's been also really, really hard for so many of these restaurants who are just saying, you know, the people that we were expecting to be able to rely on, we can't even get the basics anymore. Like people were saying, oh yeah, chicken wings, we can't even find them anymore. Sorry.
Right. And talent is also a resource. And so another thing that the pandemic did was to spread talent thin, right? There were a lot of people who had to step back. There were a lot of people who, hey, I need to get paid more.
Left the industry.
Take care of me. People left the industry, stuff like that. So a lot of this food is probably being prepared by people that just got this job, you know, like, you know, I mean, what restaurant don't you go to now with a now hiring sign out front? Like it is like, I think that knowledge base that was lost, whether it be just, like you said, it could be death related, it could be illness related, it could be just, hey, I don't want to risk my health for this job, you know, and It's hard to get people to come back and do that stuff. So, let me ask you this though. What about the pandemic? What was it about it that made every company decide they need a chicken sandwich?
Listen, don't
everybody named mama coming out with it. You'd be like, you don't even specialize in chicken
sandwich. The way folks were losing their minds. So during most of the pandemic, I was living in Brooklyn, and people were lining up. We had a Popeyes across the street from us. It went down, out the store, around the corner, and down the block. And it was just like, this is a sandwich. Yeah. Y'all know what this tastes like. Just imagine it with a bun.
I remember I was just like, I'll wait till the line dies down, right? Yep. But it was going on like 2 weeks, 3, and I remember my friend told me, hey, you know Popeyes has an app? I was like, they have an app. Well, like, I mean, it's still Popeyes. I'm like, do they abide by the app? Or is it just like, I'm going to order on the app and then I'm going to get there and they're going to be like, you know, you'll get it when you get it. And he was like, no, you can just go on the app, walk in, grab your chicken and leave. And I did that, just walking past a block full of hungry people waiting for chicken. It felt so good. Like I'm not 1%, but I understand why the 1% people are like, I'm trying to stay 1%. You know what I mean? Because that felt like privilege when I walked through all those hungry faces and they were like, I know this food ain't skipping the line. I was like, actually, I used the app. And then I just got my 2 chicken sandwiches and they were good. But now I feel like everyone I read today, y'all, it's 2022. But if you look May 18th, 2022, in case you're an alien, you can't explain it hundreds of years later. The Popeyes chicken sandwich came out like 2 years ago. This Wingstop is experimenting with a chicken sandwich today. Y'all sell chicken. What is the point?
They sell the tiniest chickens ever, but yes, they do sell chickens.
Who is waiting on this? Who is this for? I don't know.
Phenomenal question.
Meanwhile,
Let me know when you find out.
Yeah. Meanwhile, wings is in shortage, but chicken in general, I guess, not in short. I don't know.
Yeah, they got all the other pieces with the wings.
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. But it's also just like I see a lot of people in the chat talking about the comfort of it. And I get that. You know, like for so long, so many people who were so used to going out, that were so used to, you know, finding relief or a little bit of a moment of peace outside of the home or outside of work and stuff. Like, so then when we had this like big thing that everyone could kind of get into, you know, like, yeah, it's annoyingly expensive for what a chicken sandwich could be, but it's also like, it's something that's still accessible enough that like everyone can.
That's a great point.
One, you know,
that's such a great point.
It's both like comfort and then also knowing that like, oh wait, it's a reminder I'm not in this alone. Other people are going through the same thing.
Yes, because that is what it became, like
a conversational piece. Because everybody was asking, everybody had they tried it yet?
Did you try it? People was posting their videos. I remember when we tried it, we like reviewed it on the podcast. It was like a community moment in a time where we didn't really have community, because you know, coming together at that time was like asking half the people to die because of coronavirus. Like that's a great fucking point. That's why Jesse gets paid the big bucks, y'all. Okay. What about
it's not all that.
Do you watch cooking? And pay him more is what we trying to say. If you listening to this, Eater, you know what I'm saying? Come off of that guap. We trying to help him secure the bag.
Thank God, appreciate it.
You don't gotta say it. We can say it. Do you watch cooking shows, or is that like, you know, this is my recreation time? I want to not consume the cooking as recreation.
You know, it's a little bit of both. It's like I love the shows. Like I grew up on so many of these shows, right? Like cooking the recipes from the TV as we're watching it.
Yeah.
But then also like there are times where I have to say I'm exhausted. I've been thinking about food and all the logistics and all the bad behavior that goes on behind the scenes all day. Like let me just turn my brain off, you know, and just do something else. Like the same way other people are just like, you know what? I'm an accountant. I've been looking at numbers all day. Right. What I'm not about to do is sit here and do some more expenses for fun, you know? Yeah. And like a lot of people forget that it's like work, you know?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. We review movies we're movie critics. And then every once in a while somebody will be like, hey, you should watch this and review it. And I'm like, that just is work now.
Yeah,
I don't mind watching it, right? Like watching it, I might do that, you know, because it's like, oh, I do like movies. But once you start talking about reviewing or recapping or whatever the hell that means, now you're talking about me doing some work, and I don't like that part of it.
Like, how do y'all go about just kind of setting that boundary with yourselves and just saying, you know, this is the stuff that's for pleasure for us, and then this is the stuff that's for work, and we're not crossing.
Yeah, we're workaholics, but I've gotten really good about setting a boundary. And you know, of course, as Karen told you earlier, she's very much like, we can do anything. And when she's right, it's like, just because we can don't mean we should burn ourselves out. Because the last thing I would want to do is burn myself out on something I love, because that sounds like hell. So it's like there's times where we're watching something, I'm like, we're just watching this. This is not no recap, no review, no nothing. We're just having a good time. And I think that's a big part of it for me. But also I want to say, like, I feel like cooking shows have kind of evolved somewhat, because one, you have your YouTube stuff, right? So that's cool. A lot of people, is very accessible. And I love watching like a quick YouTube person. That is so great, especially those YouTube people who know how to edit. No offense to my long-winded folks,
but you need to get a professional. You know, it's the reason why you have somebody. We're gonna cut to the hands, we're gonna cut to the chopping, we're gonna cut to this. All right, boom, we're at the oven, and let's keep on going.
Right.
I don't want that same vibe I get when I go on All Recipes, and the recipe description, step 1 is, my mother left Poland in 1930, and I'm like, nope. I just want to know how many eggs.
Now,
that's what I came to find out.
Now some of them have a little button that says skip to the bottom. I was like, yeah, skip to the recipe.
So
nobody care about that.
But in addition to those people, right, so it's more ubiquitous, it's more accessible. There's also some high production stuff like High on the Hog. You know, why am I forgetting my man? It's like Salt. God, I'm fucking up the name. But just there's like these high production value shows that come to streaming services and stuff. Even the funny ones, right? Like the one where they try to make cakes and they fuck up the cakes every time.
Oh yeah.
There's
Is it cake
it's different than when we were coming up. Yes, that's it. Yeah, it's different than when we were coming up. I feel like when we were coming up, it was very much like, here are the steps to make this, which I still like. One of my favorite shows is Fish to Dish.
Oh, I like that show.
It's 20 minutes long. They teach you how to make 3 different recipes, and each recipe takes about 7 minutes for them to like chop it up. And it's beautiful and it's relaxing and all that stuff. But then there's just like stuff like High on the Hog where they like literally, I'm gonna go to Africa, tell you how they source the ingredients, tell you the history of this recipe, the history of the people who made it. That we have so much variety now in the cooking game, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and it's just like there's never been a better time to really want to get into cooking than right now, because no matter what it is you want to do, there's a way to do it. You know, whether it's like starting out with just some little TikToks and just saying, okay, I have 5 minutes to figure out what I'm gonna make for dinner, and you can scroll through some little 20-second videos and find something, or you can sit down and just watch High on the Hog, as you were saying, or even just like these intense and highly specific like cooking competition shows, and still say like, you know what, actually I can find inspiration from any of these things.
You can. And also what I've realized too, I know cooking can be very intimidating, but like I said, you can start simple. Make a grilled cheese sandwich. Like, I don't know why everybody think you have to jump in frying fish and frying chicken. The first time I fried chicken, I tried to kill everybody named Mama. I didn't know what I was doing in there. I had the grease turned up. And see, that's the part they don't tell y'all about cooking. Everybody that's an excellent chef, trust, they have burnt something. Something has been underdone, overdone. But
mistakes are part of the process.
Right, but they don't show you that. When you go online, all they show you is the pretty pictures with the olive oil and the coconut oil all scraped across.
And like learning how to salvage a meal is like next level shit. Like I remember because it's kind of science, you know, with a lot of cooking stuff. As much as it's just love and it's a lot of it's just like this many degrees, this much liquid, this much solid. And but I do remember like learning like, wait, I think, and the first time I did like save some rice, where I was like, oh no, I made it, I fucked up the rice. I'm like, wait, if I add water and I do this, it's like and I saved the rice, and I was like so proud of myself. But it would have only happened because I had made the mistake enough times to get the idea. Like that's a big part of the process. And
even simple things as if something is too wet, what to do. If something is too dry, what to do. You know, because sometimes there's things where you can take moisture out.
Right.
If something is too tart, what to do. If something is too sweet, because I think I made something that was too sweet and I couldn't figure it out. So I Googled, and it was like, well, if something is too sweet, and you know what I did? I was like, oh snap! It took all the sweetness out of it. I was like, let's go. So you'll be amazed at the little things. Well, before I probably would have just threw the whole thing away, and you were like, "There's no reason to throw the whole thing out when it could actually be corrected."
Yeah,
absolutely.
So sugar and some tomatoes or something. You'd be like, "What did I just do? Science. That's what you did."
Yeah. And it's literally just like exactly like you were saying. Start with a grilled cheese, and then say, "Okay, well, what happens if I add tomatoes to the grilled cheese?" Or what happens if I add different herbs that I just haven't tried before? What happens if we add bacon? You know,
yes,
like, it doesn't need to be the dive all in, get it right every single step of the way thing.
Now, have you traveled for food? And if so, like, what's the best food city for you? Like the place where you like this what they be cooking?
Oh, see, y'all are trying to get me in trouble. Y'all trying to start fights. Y'all gonna have this whole chat cussing me out. I think. You know, I have traveled for food. I have traveled for work. I feel like I have to say my favorite food city at the moment is Houston, just because there's so
and I want to go. They say everything big in Texas. I want to know one day.
Well, it's home.
Come on.
It's home to that. What is that restaurant, Karen, that I always look at on Instagram where it's
Turkey Leg Hut.
The Turkey Leg
Yes,
Hut.
Thank you, TPS.
It is home to
one
the
day
Turkey Leg
we gonna go
Hut.
to the Turkey Leg Hut.
And I don't know if y'all have seen the Turkey Leg Hut.
Yes, you might want to show the pictures.
I will show y'all. I will go to their Instagram right now and show y'all.
We follow them online. Yes.
But this is
shout out to Three Guys On.
It is damn near pornographic what goes on the Turkey Leg Hut Instagram.
There are moments where I'm just like, after getting off Instagram, I'm like, I think I need Jesus, because this is the thought that I just had. Weird.
The things I want to do to that food.
Like, it's a thirst trap of the best kind. This is just like some of their servings. And occasionally they'll put up they got a food truck now. Wow.
Not the truck.
Oh man, I know that line is off the chain.
Yeah. Every now and then they do them videos.
Yeah, I was gonna find a video of them taking. They always do these videos of them pulling the turkey leg off of the bone.
Yes.
And they got a truck. Oh wow, they came up, man.
Yep.
Oh, look at this. Just raise them, teach them, and raise them in the way they're supposed to go.
Right.
Won't he do it? Oh,
look at the eye roll. Look at the eyes rolling in the back of the head. You know.
Yeah.
That baby having a good time.
That baby's life has changed.
You're trying to find a video. I know. You might have to scroll down a little bit.
Y'all scroll it down. Rick Ross is in there. I'm just getting updates now. They got concerts, man. They really blew up, man. I just remember when this was like crawfish. Oh my God. Okay, here's one. This got to be Twirling the Bone. This is a oh my God, look at he's just showing us the food. Oh okay. God. Macaroni and cheese on top of the turkey leg looks so delicious. I know it's not good for you. It's gotta be delicious.
I didn't come here for healthiness. I know why I came, and they know why I came, and it wouldn't account calories.
Oh my God.
I'm not here to shame myself. I'm gonna eat what I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna enjoy my company, and anything beyond that, it's above me.
It's above me. Listen, they got gumbo now. Okay, I'm gonna get off this page because this is not what this podcast is supposed to be.
Y'all want to go?
Yeah, but they got this, and then they also have this like seafood restaurant that I follow on Instagram. So I believe you when you say Houston. I want to go there. I gotta try all this food. I'll wait in line.
Yeah, and I'll Houston, and I want to go to Louisiana. That's somewhere else.
New Orleans. I want to go to New Orleans. I heard Turkey Leg Hut now has $100 deposit to have a seat, but your meal comes out at $100. Okay. But just the fact that they know that they could pull that move.
Yes, because
tells you how good the food must be. You know what I'm saying? Because most of the clientele is Black. We ain't parting with $100 unless we know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know it's good. Another thing I wanted to ask you about too. So you talked about earlier, you just like some of the stuff behind the scenes of cooking and like personalities and stuff. And I always feel like cooking is the food industry is a industry that can be rife for like abuse, obviously appropriation, all these different things. Because one, the way chefs are treated, the way the kitchen is treated. I still remember when Gordon Ramsay's famous for yelling at people at work. Right. You know what I mean? And we're like, "Ooh, put that on TV." But there must be dozens of wannabe Chef Gordon Ramsays that ain't making Chef Gordon Ramsay money or whatever, and they just yelling at somebody at IHOP. Right. So when you talk about some of that behind the scenes stuff, what exactly is that like? And have you ever had to deal with that experience or report on that?
Yeah. So, a lot of kitchens are notorious for being super high stress, super intense environments. Because if you think about it, the number of people they're trying to serve, the amount of food that they're trying to turn out and have it be consistent every single time, that's a lot of pressure. Like, how many times have we at home made a recipe once one week and then made it again the next week and been like, oh, it was a little bit different. I wonder what I did. But
that's a great point.
But like that's just grace that a lot of people who are actually cooking the food don't get, you know? So there's a lot of pressure, a lot of frustrations, and there's so many chefs that have been coming out and saying like, oh yeah, I either had or have a temper problem or an anger problem.
Right.
And I have to own up to that. I have to take responsibility for that. At the same time, there are a lot of situations of sexual misconduct, you know, unwanted groping or touching, unwanted, you know, sexual advances. There have been a lot of times about, you know, where just people who have certain amounts of power in these places, you know, abuse it and really take advantage of workers, whether that's, you know, actual sexual assault or whether it's just, you know, getting away with things that they shouldn't be doing in the first place just because they know that there's not really anyone else there to check them on it. You know?
And do you feel that, or do you is there pressure on you on the journalistic end? Like, are you like, man, if I say this chef is accused of blank, there will be repercussions for my company or for me personally? Do you ever feel like that type of pressure?
I don't necessarily try to treat it as pressure, because it's more just like, at the end of the day, if I know, the second I know that someone is responsible for some type of behavior that I don't agree with,
right,
I'm not going to enable them. I'm not putting them, I'm not giving them a platform. I'm not focusing on, you know, hiding what they do,
right,
you know, behind the scenes or behind closed doors, because at the end of the day, it all matters. What happens behind the scenes still impacts the customers and everyone that's working there. Like, restaurant workers deserve to be heard and have their experiences validated, you know? So who am I to overlook someone else's bad behavior just because I like the way that they, you know, make wings or whatever, you know? So it's a thing that I think about.
It's such a rigged industry. I mean, all industries are rigged, but it's such a rigged industry at the top, because while in society, women probably do 60-75% of cooking, when it comes to chefs, all of a sudden it's like, that's a man's area. Okay, men are chefs. And you're like, well, I don't know, being a Black person in America, I have some history with this. Probably a rigged game when when the top line is all one thing. Probably not fair to everybody.
Oh yeah, like I feel like people forget that, like, to get a restaurant in the first place, it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of like
a lot of money.
That's it. It's just like,
do you
have investors?
Yes. Do you have an investor? You have somebody willing to believe in you. You have somebody that's willing to see your vision. Because the thing about Black and brown and marginalized and these other people, their vision is going to be different than straight white people. And so a lot of times we know things that work for our community, but because a lot of them never experienced it and they don't understand, a lot of times they'll pass up on something just out of their lack of knowledge. And then guess what? Like we always do, we'll turn around, make it on our own, and make $1 billion industry. And then they'll be like, breaking brand new. And act like it's always a surprise when it's like, no, these markets are always underserved.
I saw that the Slutty Vegan just got money to do an extension. I want to say it was reported today, but the Slutty Vegan's been a successful restaurant for years before somebody was like, we should get them some more money. You know what would be good? Making more money with them. It was like a lot of people get that break coming in the game. You don't have to work 10 years to prove yourself.
Yeah, no. And even with Pinky's situation, it's just like, she's been working and making headlines for years. Yeah. You know? And like so much of that required her to just do it on her own terms, you know? And I think for so many people, they can get really discouraged when they're just like, oh, well, my path doesn't look like other people. So like, maybe that means I'm not meant to be in this industry, or maybe that means I'm not supposed to do this thing. Yeah. And that's not the case.
No,
it's okay for the path to be different.
Yeah. Yes. You know? and it can be discouraging. And it's one of the things, particularly being Black, you have to rely on your ancestors. You go, okay, if you put something in front of me, what have we done? We've knocked it down. And if you shut this, we'll practice. We'll go under it. We'll go over it. We'll go through it. We'll do what we have to do to make it happen. And Roger said something, and I will always truly believe this. For a lot of marginalized people, you don't get the outside help until you really don't need it. Like once you get to the point where
it's like after you, like I always say, is rare. Not that it never happens, but it's very rare that a marginalized person gets help in something they couldn't have done for themselves. Like a lot of times it's like people try to run game on you where it's like, hey, you know what you guys should do with your podcast? You should do a live show. And I'm like, we can do a live show. We don't need you. Like we don't need you. Like you can't trick me into like now if you said if you came to me and were like, we could book a tour for you, that might be something I can't do on my own. Right. But guess when that opportunity will unveil itself? Probably after I've done it on my own. You know what I mean? So it can be difficult that way. You also were at Bon Apetit when they had like their big like blow up and stuff. How like what was it like being the focal point for that? Because I found out about it by listening to a podcast. God, I can't remember the name. Something Kitchen, but it was like we're talking about this scandal. But then that podcast by Reply All started people at Reply All being like, well, now that you bring up discrimination and racism,
you got some problems.
So like it was such a funny conundrum. I mean, on the outside looking in, obviously it was a funny. It was like they were trying to bust somebody, but then they weren't clean. Like what was it like working there in the time, and was that like something you experienced yourself firsthand?
Yeah, so I think it was definitely something that it was definitely stuff that I had experienced firsthand, and it was more like kind of getting this mixed bag of like sometimes it's awesome, sometimes like you have the dream job, you get to test all these recipes, you get to taste other people's cooking who do it professionally and have so much knowledge, you know, you get to learn from all these people that are just so dang smart, you know. But then also you're going through all of the stuff that we know to expect from like corporate America, or a lot of these like very at times well-intentioned but still kind of lacking in self-aware situations. So it was a lot of just like, okay, well, how do I put my own experiences first? How do I honor the work that I've been doing, my experiences, the way that I've tried to navigate this newsroom with just compassion and care, even when I didn't always know everything, even when I did have stuff to learn, you know? And then how do I also say, there's a boundary here and y'all have crossed this, and that's not okay. It doesn't mean that I hate you forever. It doesn't mean that we're fist fighting. Like a lot of people wanted to portray that situation as like, oh, well, like you just don't like these people. And I was like, well, it's not about whether or not I like them.
Right.
You know, it's like at the end of the day, this is a business. We're not always here to be paid to be friends. It's great if people get along. It's great if you make friends. And I had, but also at the same time, like we have to talk about the fact that this is, and as many brands and food media, this is a brand that didn't always get it right. And we have to take responsibility for that and figure out a way forward.
And it's a job. Like, I think one of the things that I know at being Gen X, right? So Gen X very much like your feelings don't matter that much, get the job done, right? That was what we were taught as kids, right?
Yeah.
And it's like being Gen X, I'm very much like, I guess my feelings don't matter, but I'm learning from like the generations after me to be more like, oh wait, my feelings matter. But one of the things that I never felt betrayed by was a company that tried to be like, we're family, we're like your family, this is more like your family. Because I would always be like, that's bullshit, right? Before like yeah, I'm like, I don't believe any of that. But I think like there are people who, especially once you have startups, you have these companies that they're like corporate-ish, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, hey, what you want to the office? We're friends, we hang out, we talk, we can have all. There's like that moment when, like you say, you have to draw this boundary of like, it's a workplace too, though. So,
yeah.
you know, whereas like if you were my friend and you said this, I might be like, hey, you know, don't say this, or he's just drunk or whatever. Man, we're at work, and this is actually affecting my ability to earn. It's affecting my ability to practice my trade. And I know there were like discussions of like and it was like such a hard nut to crack, because it was like appropriation in cooking, which is like a difficult topic to really wrap your head around,
particularly with somebody in the chat room about it with fusion. Like a lot of people feel all types of ways about fusion, but I personally think fusion is beautiful when you bring these two cultures together. Yes, I'm American, but I'm Asian. I'm American and I'm African or Native. Like, I think that it's a wonderful thing, because then you end up creating new things or different things or unique things. But I think for a lot of people, they feel like when it comes to just appropriation, period, but they feel like, well, this history and recipes have been stolen from us, so don't take anything. It's like, that's not how this works. I hope you. I mean,
I think, but so it depends though, right? Because like, who's covering this? Because we're writing about the food, we're not just making it. So it's like, what knowledge do you have to really assess this? You know what I mean? I think that stuff matters. Who gets the story?
Yeah.
Who is relegated to only this story? Like, if the only time you're gonna see Jesse on the site is when it's Soul Food Sunday or whatever the fuck, then it's kind of like, that's like a different kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it gets so tricky so fast. But like, at the end of the day, if you are doing your research, if you are actually learning about the communities that you're drawing from and citing your sources and saying like, you know what, this isn't a thing I invented, but I don't need to have invented it for it to be good. I don't need to have invented it for everyone to want to learn about it. Like, that's a very different thing, you know. Like, in a lot of ways, it's more about like, are you being sincere in how you're actually talking about and relating to this food, or are you just trying to parachute in, make a profit, or get some social capital, get some clout, and then dip? You know, and more often than not, you know, sometimes we just have to check ourselves and say, hey, are we actually being real with this? Or is this just, you know, a fad that people are just trying to get in on? And
because there is like a money-making aspect to all of this, you know, obviously. But someone brought up in the chat this year on Atlanta, they had one of my favorite episodes was where they had this Niger bowl thing where this white lady befriends Darius takes her to an authentic Nigerian restaurant, and she's essentially taking notes. Like, it never registers as like a human experience for her, but just like a business venture. And there is that part of it, right? There is that colonization of culture, because food is so strongly attached to culture that there is like a fear of people being so capitalistic, so business minded, that they miss out on the story. I think that's why it's important what you do, that you're telling stories, because I think low key the part that makes cooking and food really unique is the story behind it. It's not like the recipe is cool, right? Anyone put a little do this, do that. It's the, where did this come from? You know, why is it here? What is the person that makes this? What are they thinking? You know, that kind of stuff.
Yes, and that has a lot to do with why some of your best TV chefs, be it celebrity or home cooks, a lot of whatever they do has a story behind it. Like, they're telling you, this reminded me of this, this reminded me of that, because it's that form of connection. Like when I was talking about that chicken, fried chicken, but the story behind it is, I undercooked it. It was not done. The grease was too high. So I fried it and pulled it out. I was like, oh, this looked just like my mama's. No, baby, it wasn't just like my mama's. It, not at all. Not at all. The outside was all pretty and brown. And honey, I thought I had did something. I put down that plate. It was glistening. It was shiny. I bust that chicken open. I was like, oh no.
I think also there's like a new kind of not new, but I think it is kind of new. And since social media, I believe, where companies kind of have like a moral obligation, or at least people who eat at places are looking for more moral obligations. Like, I was reading that McDonald's is leaving Russia.
I was hearing that,
which I'm sure is a lot of money that they're leaving on the table. They're just basically selling all of their stuff there because there are people who work for McDonald's there that will not have a job. They've been closed for several months now,
and they've been paying the employees.
And so it's been at a loss to be like to try to make like a moral statement. Is that like something that you've noticed within the industry that people are trying to do, or is it like mostly just look, profit over people, don't worry about all that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there's a rise in people being more aware of the fact that, like, hey, people care about what our businesses are doing or what we're involved in, right? So like I definitely think it's still a mix of places where, you know, some people are going to do are genuinely thinking about how to make the brand more sustainable, more reflective of the values that the customers want from that company. But then also you have people who are doing it to be performative too, right? So sometimes it has to be that question of just like, okay, well, are you doing this because it's actually important? Are you doing it because you actually value the people you're working with? Or are you just doing this because you think it's gonna, you know, give you a leg up over other people or your competitors? And sometimes with that, it's just like, well, no matter what, I always want, you know, companies and businesses to treat their workers like people and to treat them well and pay them living wages.
That's a great point. Because, I'm sorry. Well, I was going to say, McDonald's could technically be like, listen, they shut the economy off in Russia. So maybe they're like losing money, and this is a way of saving face of being like, just give it to the Russians and let's get the hell out of here, you know. And it's a good PR win because it looks like they're going, hey, we're leaving Russia, but maybe it's just really it is PR, and it's really just more about saving money. I mean, every restaurant can't be as unrepentantly evil as like Arby's, you know, where it's like, listen, we're a drug dealing, money laundering organization that gives 96% of our money to the GOP, and we don't give a fuck what y'all think. We're pissing in your milkshakes, and if y'all enjoy,
we cover the article.
Pissing in your milkshakes, enjoy that. Like that could be. But you know what? I digress. I don't want to go. I've said too much. I know they probably gonna come for me after that.
Big Arby's.
Listen,
Big Arby's.
We all gonna go missing suddenly. Just
exactly. We just get pulled off camera.
If y'all hear from us, that's what happened.
The last thing I did want to ask that. Well, actually, Karen, if you have more questions too, you know, I don't want to rush you off.
No, go ahead.
But the question I wanted to ask too is about the new podcast, The One Recipe. How did the podcast come about? Like, what was the thought process behind it, and you know, like the execution?
Yeah, so you know, this is a moment I again can't take all the credit or any credit for it, really. Sally Swift and Erica Romero, my producers, they were the ones who created the idea for the show, created the kind of structure of it, and then they reached out to me and were just like, hey, we have this idea, you know, we're launching this thing, and we just want to see if you'd be interested in, you know, auditioning for it. And before, having a podcast had never occurred to me. I was just like, I'm sick of hearing my thoughts in my head, so I don't know why y'all will want to hear them too. Because I love y'all, I love me, but also it's just a lot sometimes.
Yeah, understood.
But I think it just really grew out of wanting to make sure that there was stuff out there that reminded people it's okay to be a cook in progress. It's okay to be a person in progress. We're all still learning. We're all still figuring things out, you know? So we don't have to be perfect. We just have to show up as ourselves. And sometimes that just means saying, hey, this is the recipe I love, and I want you to love it too.
It's really refreshing. I love the podcast. They're short episodes, and they're like really like, it's funny because like these lofty people that you would be like, okay, this person is a chef, they wrote 3 books, they got a TV show or whatever, and then you're like, they're like, I like pasta. What I do is I just take some garlic sauce and this, and you're like, I can make that.
Right? Right?
See? 5 ingredients. I can swing that.
Yeah. Like, wait, so you just take a whole, so you just taking the salmon, putting some oil, some salt and pepper, and you can serve it hot, you can serve it cold. It can feed a lot of people. Like,
yes.
You know? And it's good. That's the thing.
Yes. I want to try the recipe with the lady was talking about some ground pork with a whole bunch of mint. I was like, that sounds delicious, ma'am.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if y'all just did this so y'all could shark all these recipes off these people, but whatever y'all did, it's super.
Don't expose me. Listen, it's a secret. Don't.
Every night Jesse's eating for $10 at home. Like, shit, this was made by the best chefs in the world.
Listen, it's just me in a pool of just minty meatballs, having a good time, eating like a king.
Well,
what is your favorite food where you don't like to share? You go, this is mine, I don't like to share. I'll hide it from you if I got to. Like this right here is my jam.
Honestly, it's great question. Honestly, it's too hard to think of just one, but I think it's like sweet potato pies. If it's a good one, I will eat it cold. I will eat it hot. I will wake up in the middle of the night and stand in front of the fridge or at the counter and eat it with my bare hands, and it will be that. You know.
Yes.
What about y'all? What's y'all's?
So this is not even a food this is like a food you buy, but Thin Mints, Girl Scout Thin Mints. I put them in the fridge, and the serving size is apparently one sleeve because
there are two in the box.
Yeah, so each box has 2 servings. And
each box has 1 serving.
Listen, I remember looking at the back and it was like, this has 8 servings. I'm like, someone needs to do some math at the Girl Scouts because that's definitely not true.
Listen, we got to give them grace. You know, they're in 3rd and 4th grade.
If I can stop at a sleeve, that's a good day. If I stop like at 1 sleeve, I'm like, yo, I did it today. I was on my diet. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, a good day, I'm like, I'm 3 sleeves in. I kick my feet up. Like, we're good.
Okay, listen. Okay, there's a reason I buy boxes at a time. Like them girls know me, and them girls gotta understand it. Okay, Karen, did you have one?
Oh, my favorite is M&M's. I love me. We went to the M&M store in Times Square, and it just made my day. I love me some M&M's. I take my M&M's, I put them in the freezer. I like peanut M&M's. They my favorite. I just don't care. Like I loved them so much when I was a kid. I would save up my money and I would buy a big old jumbo size bags. You know, the ones where you had to pay $4-5 for the bags. And I wouldn't share with nobody. I keep it a secret. I hide it. No, you're not eating my candy, because if I give it to you, that means I ain't got none.
Listen, growing up, we had the big old bags of the peanut M&Ms. Yeah, and I would find them just stashed in random places. My mom would be sick of sharing. There was one day I was like, "Ooh, okay, I'm gonna come into my parents' bed, just have a good old time. I'm gonna watch their TV. I'm gonna live life." There was a bag of peanut M&Ms smack dab in the center of that bed.
See,
and I was just like, "What? Y'all are hoarding at this point,
right?
You gotta share.
That's a betrayal.
You gotta share
for the whole family."
Yeah,
just lying, unapologetic.
That's how kids feel. That's how kids feel. But as an adult, you be like, "Look, I got to share everything." Every time I turn around, can I have some? Can I have some? Can I have some? You be like, I can't have nothing to myself. That's why parents hide stuff.
I get now why people will literally just sit in the cars, in the driveways, in front of the house, just breathing,
decompress.
That is like the greediest thing I've ever done, is like order something and be like, I'm just gonna have to eat this before I come in the house, because if I come in the house and they know I got it, then it's no longer gonna be mine. So it's like I'm just sitting in the driveway, like, as soon as I finish this Bojangles, I'll go ahead and go in and face the family.
Literally yesterday, so we have a chain called Frenchie's in Houston. Great spot for fried chicken. I grabbed some. I was visiting some family. I sat in the driveway and I was just like, I can't go in yet until I finish. I'm not doing anything until I'm done. I love y'all so much. I walk in, they immediately ask, "So have you eaten? What do you want to eat? What do you want for dinner?" I'm just like,
right.
I don't know if I got second dinner in me.
Come on.
But I can't tell y'all now.
I got a lot of y'all. And pretend like I want some.
I got to order and pick around, but like, you know what? I really wasn't that hard. I'll pack this up for lunch tomorrow.
Yeah, I've
y'all
definitely
turned me into
way.
Yes.
Okay.
What is your favorite drink? Alcoholic, non-alcoholic, or both?
Ooh. That's a good one too. I think I love a dark and stormy. I love
What is that?
So it's like ginger beer, rum. It's just very, very refreshing, very bright. It's just a good old time. It's one of those things where you can taste the alcohol, you can appreciate it, but also if you're not careful, you'll look up on a beautiful summer evening and you'll just be like, wow, was I always cross-eyed?
Yes.
You know,
yeah, that was the first time I got introduced. First time I got introduced to Long Island iced teas, I felt like that.
You know what? I felt betrayed. Long Island iced tea has no iced tea in it. And Roger told me that, and I looked at him like Santa Claus wasn't real. I was like, what you mean the Long Island iced tea ain't got? He was like, it comes from Coke. He was like, it got about 18 alcohols in it, girl. I be like, well, they said it's a Long Island iced tea. Why ain't no tea in it? It's everything but tea.
Listen, the second I saw the actual like ingredient breakdown for Long Island iced tea,
list.
Yeah. I was just like, this is a whole bar. Like, just put the whole thing in.
It's a big lie, but man, it'll get you drunk. Okay, quickly, and like with all that sweetness, you don't need to know. Listen, it does the job. Okay,
and the sweetness is the trouble. That's where you're getting into trouble.
That's why the initials are LIT, because you're gonna be lit. You keep fucking with them Long Island.
That and the good old mimosa will have you going, because a lot of people underestimate how strong a mimosa is. Yep. And you get all the fruits and all that stuff, and you won't last long.
There used to be a place in sorry, you're all good.
No, you got it.
There used to be a place in Brooklyn called the Woodland, and it was a very Black place. It focused on brunch. You know, that was the big appeal. They would have a DJ there playing the music, great time. But people would be off. People would just be out of their minds, just gone. Because they would do like the unlimited mimosas, and people would be having about
doing it because for that reason it was like,
they'd have 2, 3, 18, and it would be like, no, we gotta stop. So they ended up closing down because they were just like, it's been fun, but y'all are doing too much.
Now they drink what you can in 2 hours. After this, no more.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing. Like being a Black person is like Turkey Leg Hut. They had to pass like these rules, and it was one of them was like no swimsuits, and people were like, listen, I don't like respectability, blah blah.
I'm like, no, something happened.
I'm like, guys, as a Black person, let me just step in real quick. It's okay this time. Like,
something happened. They don't pass these rules.
Like we can't be at brunch and right next to my potatoes, you can't be twerking. I'm sorry. I love you. There's time for twerk. There's time for eating some crawfish, and it's just not always the same time.
It don't need to be in the same place.
It's just know the venue, know your audience.
Yeah, know your audience. You know what I'm saying? No offense.
Yeah. I hate dress codes, but it's also just like, if the restaurant has an established vibe, just go with the flow. You know,
I respect both.
But if we're not on a boat, we don't need the swimsuit. That's
that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
It's good.
Yeah,
we'll work it out.
Oh man, well, this has been so fun.
It has.
Jesse,
thank you for having me.
Coming on.
Yay.
Feel free to come back anytime.
Please do.
Listen, I appreciate it. Anytime y'all have me, I'll be here.
And I'm gonna write a cookbook so that I can go on there and promote Hot Pockets. Okay, well, I'm gonna
listen. Anytime you want to talk about Hope, I'm ready.
Hope,
yes.
Let's get
I'm
into
gonna write
it.
me. I can't wait to write my cookbook called Lip Smacking Good. That's gonna be the name of my cookbook and my podcast.
I'm ready for it.
Check out the one recipe. American Public Media. It's on everywhere you get everywhere you get podcasts. Like I said, episodes they're short, they're fun,
a lot of fun,
they're educational. You learn how to cook. You'll learn what to cook. You'll learn how to look like you took a lot of effort, but really you just threw some salmon in the oven at 300 degrees. It's like, come on, shortcuts. Y'all check that out, and then we'll be back Saturday with our feedback show. Until then, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, Jesse. It was
Bye.
fun.
Bye, y'all. Thank y'all for having me.